Hi, welcome to YTV and this week's segment of Everybody Has a Story. Arianna Huffington is the founder and editor-in-chief of one of the world's most popular news sites. Listed as one of Forbes' most powerful women and Time Magazine's 100 most influential people, she's come out with a new book this year called Thrive, the third metric to redefining success and creating a life of well-being, wisdom, and wonder. And she joins us today. Arianna, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Cody. It's great to be here.
So the idea for this book, I understand, came out of a pretty scary wake-up call that you had in 2007. What exactly happened?
So 7 years ago, 2 years into building the Huffington Post, I actually collapsed from burnout, exhaustion, and sleep deprivation, hit my head on the way down, broke my cheekbone, got 4 stitches on my right eye, and that started me on this journey of asking the big questions that President Salvi actually was asking today when he gave his speech at the baccalaureate at Woolsey Hall. What is a good life? And these are questions that we often stop asking after we leave college. And as I was asking that question about myself and about our culture, I came to the realization that we had defined a good life and success as just these 2 metrics of money and power. And this is just like trying to sit on a 2-legged stool. Sooner or later you fall off. We need the 3rd leg of the stool. And that 3rd leg, that 3rd metric, is what I describe in the book: well-being, wisdom, wonder, and giving. And when I look around at our culture, including your generation, I see how we're living under this collective delusion that, in fact, in order to succeed, you have to burn out. And it's not true. And the science proves it unequivocally. It's not true.
Now, old habits die hard and new ones are hard to form. What were some of the first things you did to try and change your lifestyle in this direction?
Well, that's a very good point that you are raising. That I believe that you need to start with small little baby steps that introduce new habits, and to pick one, what they call the keystone habit that you change, and then it becomes easier to change other habits. My keystone habit was sleep. I went from 4 to 5 hours to 7 to 8 hours, and now the science around sleep is very conclusive. Sleep is like a miracle drug, in terms of our health, our cognitive functions, our judgment, our decision making, our immune system. And it used to be, though, and still is in many areas, including colleges, something which is kind of despised, seen as, you sleep when you sleep when you're dead, or you snooze, you lose, all these expressions that we have. So we need to kind of reevaluate our relationship to sleep, and that is one of the steps. But I have a total of 12 steps in Thrive that you can decide which one you want to start with. And we also launched an Instagram campaign where we are asking graduates to take a picture with special graduation gear saying #ThriveGraduate, and then we send free Kindle editions of Thrive, because I believe that the sooner one can appreciate the scientific foundation for this message and this way of living, the sooner it will be integrated in people's lives.
We mentioned graduates. Your daughter is graduating tomorrow. It's commencement weekend. These are some of the most stressed out people you'll find is recent college graduates trying to find a job. How do you respond to those graduates who say, I can't stop yet, I don't have the first 2 metrics?
Right. So what I'm saying, and what I say in the book, is that, in fact, the more you connect with the 3rd metric, your inner strength, your inner wisdom, your inner resilience, the more able you will be to face whatever challenges and obstacles there are in the way. In fact, I quote people like Viktor Frankl, who faced the ultimate challenges of being in a concentration camp and losing everyone he loved. And he talks about that, about what distinguishes how people respond to challenges and hardships and adversity is how connected they are to their own source of strength and wisdom. Because the same circumstances can completely defeat one human being, and another one can transcend them and thrive beyond them.
I understand you've also been able to translate some of this to the workplace at the Huffington Post. What have you been doing there to try and promote this?
Yes, we have 2 nap rooms, so that if you are tired in the middle of the afternoon, you can have a nap instead of having a cinnamon bar or a 5th cup of coffee. We have meditation, yoga, and breathing classes, because breathing, believe it or not, can be done consciously and be a great stress reducer. And healthy snacks everywhere, and just as important, an email policy that encourages people to go off work email at the end of their workday, recharge, and return to work.
They're not required to.
They're not required to be checking email. And we believe that's going to be inevitable in workplaces, so that people can really unplug and recharge. You know, the way we plug our devices in to recharge them, we need to unplug ourselves to recharge. In fact, it's kind of ironic, Cody, that we take better care of our smartphones than we take care of ourselves. Like if you have an iPhone, you get alerts, like 20% of battery remaining, 17% of battery remaining. By about 13%, you get nervous and you're looking for a recharging shrine to make sure that nothing bad happens to your smartphone. But clearly, when I collapsed from exhaustion, I must have been below 0% battery remaining, but I wasn't even aware of it, because we're so used to walking around like zombies, you know, tired and sleep deprived.
You said even, I mentioned in the book a statistic, even 20% of people use their smartphones during sex.
Yes, exactly. First of all, we have 70% of people sleep with their smartphones by their beds, which is a problem, because if you wake up at night, you're going to look at your data. And 20% use it during sex. I mean, that's kind of a pretty stunning statistic, but it's a statistic that indicates the amount of addiction that's going on when it comes to our devices.
Now, you dedicated this book to your mother. What lesson did she leave you with that drove this book?
Well, my mother was somebody who lived a third metric, a thriving life, before I knew much about it. And one of the things that she kept telling me is, don't miss the moment, you know, be fully in the moment. And another thing had to do with failure, you know, which is particularly appropriate as graduates are starting in their lives this weekend, not to be discouraged by failure. She used to say to me, failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone to success. And I've had plenty of failures along the way, and we learn from each one of them, and the important thing is to get up and go, and not be so affected every time something isn't going our way.
Staying on that topic a little bit, back in 2009, Tim Creeder published a piece in the New York Times called The Referendum. And he talked about this phenomenon where we look to the side to our peers to measure our own success, something that clearly has been exacerbated by things like Facebook. How do people become comfortable with their own definitions of success? How do people stop looking to the side and saying, well, my friend is here, I need to be here?
Right. Well, that is really just about the worst way to live life and to keep score, because each one of us is unique, and comparisons are the one way to really live life with pain and unnecessary anxiety and worry. The alternative is to be grateful for our blessings and to be grateful for our own skills and resources. And as Michael Baryshnikov said, the great ballet dancer, I don't try to dance better than anyone else. I just try to dance better than myself.
Another place you draw on lessons, I'm half Greek, so my Yaya and Papu, this question is for them. You talked in the book about growing up in Athens and
Yes.
studying Greek philosophy. How did that history and that heritage either affect your path or rediscovering the more healthy path?
Absolutely. I feel that a lot of what I've rediscovered has been part of Greek philosophy. Like Socrates, for example, used to talk about knowing ourselves and practicing death daily. Now, he didn't mean that in a morbid sense. He meant it in the sense of putting everything in perspective. Because as the Onion headline puts it, death rate holds steady at 100%. And when we remember that, however young we are, it just puts everything else in perspective in terms of all the things that can go wrong in a day or in a life.
Now, lastly, just shifting to, your big job as editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post Media Group, where would you like to see the Huffington Post go in the next 5 to 10 years?
Well, first of all, to the rest of the world. We are now in 11 countries, including Germany, France, Italy, Japan, South Korea. We are launching in India next, and after that in the Middle East. And we're also launching in Greece, that I'm very excited about. This is an emotional decision more than a business decision, but I'm really happy that we will be able to bring the Huffington Post to Greece during a very difficult time in the country's history.
We always end all of our interviews with a speed round, and these are just quick, fun questions and short answers. So the first one, favorite headline from this year?
From this year, it has to be a Huffington Post headline. We're so good at it. We're good at our headlines. My favorite headline that comes to mind was actually from the year before, but it was so good on HuffPost. It was when Dominic Strauss-Kahn was arrested, and our headline was OMG IMF.
That is a good one. Second one, news source that you read each morning other than the Huffington Post?
I read multiple news sources every morning, ranging from the New York Times, the Atlantic, Business Insider, Fast Company, DigiDay. So I love reading a lot of sources, both established and new media.
Third, similar question, is there a columnist you read every week?
Many columnists.
Oh, one that may be your favorite that you follow?
Actually, somebody whose job is not to be a columnist, but I read everything he writes. He's a professor here at Yale, David Bromwich. And he's incredibly wise and always gives you a perspective that you may not have thought of, and always a deeper perspective.
Number 4, favorite Greek pastry?
Oh, melomakarona. It's a Greek Christmas sweet. I'm sure you've tried it, with walnuts and honey, and it's sort of, my mother used to make it, and I can still remember the perfume that filled the house.
Number 5, you've spread the Huffington Post to a lot of different countries, as you said, through international editions that you've launched. What's the next country you want to see the Huffington Post launch in?
Beyond India, Middle East, and Greece, where we're going to be going anyway, I'd love us to go to Australia and reach that amazing country.
2016 hopes for president. Who would you like to see in the race there?
One thing I've learned about politics is that it's going to surprise us. Something is going to happen that we don't know about. And it's going to be, I think, a competitive race on both sides. I mean, even though Hillary obviously would be the undisputed front runner, I think we're going to see others competing.
And then the last one, you ran for governor of California in 2003. Would you ever consider running for political office again?
No, I love my day job, and I love thriving.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us. The book is Thrive. It's on the bookshelves now by Arianna Huffington. We'll see you in the fall for more segments of Everybody Has a Story on YTV.